Hello and welcome to Boston's North Station. Today we are going to be heading up north on Amtrak's Downeaster from here to Haverhill, Massachusetts. Our journey begins with a quick look around Boston North Station before boarding Amtrak train 681 towards Brunswick. Once on board, we'll take a look at our route for today and the seating on board as we head out of Boston. It's a quick ride up to Haverhill, but we'll have just enough time to check out the other facilities, some stats for nerds, and what the future holds for the route before arriving at our destination. So sit back and relax and join me for a ride on Amtrak's Downeaster. North Station is one of two major termini in downtown Boston. As the name implies, this is the northernmost of the two, serving MBTA's northbound lines and Amtrak's Downeaster, plus the Orange Line subway and Green Line trams. Unlike South Station, North Station doesn't really have an identity of its own, tucked away below the TD Garden Stadium behind the facade of shops and hotels. Following the signs off to the side of the escalators brings us into North Station. The station hall is currently undergoing a bit of construction as the MBTA was working to add fare gates for commuter lines. The construction was wrapped up a few months after filming, and as of October 3rd of 2022, the fare gates have been activated. At the time, however, the placement of the construction was a little unfortunate, as it made the station appear as though it wasn't open, with passengers met with fences and signage regarding the ongoing works. Wrapping around the construction, we can find an opening to enter the North Concourse. The North Concourse is rather lackluster, with just a few shops and benches scattered throughout. As this is a smaller station than its southern counterpart, I didn't expect much, but the whole place feels quite rough around the edges. As expected with early morning services, the departure board shows that our train, Amtrak 681 to Brunswick, is set for an on-time departure of 8:50 a.m. North Station is sparsely populated this early in the morning, with only a few commuters scattered around the concourse. I would have expected North Station to be more crowded, especially on a Friday, but with most trains coming into the city in the mornings, the crowds of people likely show up in the evenings. We only have a few minutes in the station before the boarding announcement is made and we can head out to track 6 to board our train. Waiting for us out on the platforms is Amtrak's Downeaster, a set of 5 Amfleet coaches capped off by 2 GE Genesis P42DCs. Heading down the train and past the business class car, we can find an open coach and step aboard. Making our way down the car, we find an empty row and can get settled in for this quick ride up to Haverhill. While we're waiting for our train to depart, let's take a quick look at our route for today. Our journey today will cover a total of 33 miles between Boston and Haverhill, with a travel time of 48 minutes. Departing North Station, the tracks take us northwest out of Boston towards Mystic Lake before turning back northeast. From there, we'll cruise up north until we reach the Merrimack River, which guides us into Haverhill. The last of the passengers board, and our train departs Boston on this 48-minute ride up to Haverhill. It's a slow departure out of Boston as we navigate the switches and bridges, but after wrapping around the MBTA maintenance facilities, we reach the main line and can pick up speed. Downeaster trains operate northeast train sets, so coach seating is identical to that on the northeast corridor, which is very comfortable. There's plenty of room at each seat with a good 6 to 8 inches of space between my knees and the seat back, but the footrests have been removed as there isn't enough space for them. The seat back pocket is quite large and holds the safety information card for our Amfleet 1 coaches. The tray table folds down from the seat back and is large enough to store medium-sized laptops or a small meal. Above the seats in each row are 2 lights activated by the buttons in between. Outlets are located on the walls just below the windows, which again are the only 2 outlets for the entire row. Seat adjustments are made using the button on the side of the armrests, which reclines the seat back for extra comfort. As we head north through Massachusetts, let's take a quick look at some stats about our train. Our train this morning is Amtrak Downeaster number 681 and is powered by 2 GE Genesis P42DCs. Each P-42DC is powered by GE's 7FDL16 V16 engine, producing 4,200 horsepower. P-42DCs are rated for a top speed of 110 miles per hour, but track speeds limit trains to a maximum of 80 miles per hour. Amfleets are the workhorses of Amtrak's fleet, making up the majority of the East Coast and Midwest trains. Built by Budd in the 1970s and 80s, Amfleets were modeled after the coaches on Metroliner EMUs operating on the Northeast Corridor. Amtrak ordered two types of Amfleets, the Intercity Amfleet 1 and the Long Distance Amfleet 2. Amfleet 1s were built with one set of doors on either end of the car for faster loading and unloading, and were arranged into four configurations: coach, business, club dinettes, and full dinettes. Coach cars have a total of 72 seats, where business class has 62. The dinettes each had a section of booth seating and a serving area, while the second half contained either more booths or business class depending on the configuration. Amfleet 2s only saw two configurations, coach and diner lights, with 59 seats in coach cars, while diner lights had a selection of booths plus a conductor's office. If you're enjoying the video so far, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. It's totally free and it really helps support the channel. If you want to go the extra mile with your support, then check out the channel's Patreon. If you want your name in the video, access to exclusive weekly posts, and even the opportunity to vote on future videos, then click the link in the top right or in the description below to learn more. There are two bathrooms located at the end of each car, with one regular and one accessible. Despite being the standard size bathroom, there's still plenty of space. The bathroom is fairly well kept, although I expected better from an early morning train. The sink works well and the soap is full with well-stocked paper towels and toilet paper. The included 120-volt outlets are located on the wall next to the sink and appear to be in good working order. Outside of that, there's not much else. It's certainly a functional facility, but not in any ways the best I've come across in my travels. The communities of northern Massachusetts roll past as we continue up north, breezing by the local commuter stops with no hesitation. The cafe car is located at the rear of our train, however it wouldn't be opening until after we arrived in Haverhill. Haverhill is almost an hour away, and the fact that the cafe car wouldn't open before then is ridiculous, but I don't make the rules. Fortunately, I stopped by the Dunkin' Donuts at North Station to snag some breakfast before departing, so I wasn't in any need of a snack stop. That being said, it's worth taking a look at what could have been. Cafe cars include plenty of booth seats for passengers to dine at, with a serving counter in the middle. Amtrak's cafe cars offer a wide variety of snacks and drinks, including a few larger items for more filling meals. There are options for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, plus plenty of smaller snacks for intermediate meals. Specifics vary from route to route and have recently changed, with Amtrak revamping the cafe menu to include new meal options, plus price changes on existing choices. Now, our consist today is made up of 5 Amfleets with 2 P-42DCs at either end. However, this usually isn't the case. Instead of the second P-42DC, one end is replaced with an EMD F-40PH non-powered control unit. These units have been gutted of their main internals, with the space now used as a baggage car. It's this baggage car aspect from which they get their nickname as cabbage cars. Cabbage cars are more commonplace on the Downeaster, with most bearing the branding of the route in addition to being used on it, and are thus a staple piece of rolling stock on the route. The consist of Amfleets, F-40s, and P-42DCs are soon to be a thing of the past, as Amtrak is set to replace them with 6-car Siemens Venture train sets in the coming years. With Amtrak investing heavily into the Siemens ecosystem, it's no surprise that Venture sets will be the future of this and other routes across the US. The 6-car sets will be used on the Carolinian, Downeaster, Keystone, Palmetto, Pennsylvanian, and Vermonter, with dual-mode operation between diesel and overhead catenary power. This will allow them to draw power from the overhead wires in electrified territory, converting to diesel where necessary. Unfortunately, this system will see no use on the Downeaster, at least for the time being, as none of the tracks on which it runs are electrified. The interiors will be similar or identical to the Venture coaches currently operated in the Midwest as seen here, with 2x2 seating in coach and 2x1 in business class. The Venture coaches are a great step forward for the aging Amfleets, although they certainly have some teething issues to work through before they are fully accepted. The 50 minutes flew by, and with no stops in between, Haverhill approached quicker than we could have ever anticipated. Because Haverhill is a small station, passengers must depart from the cafe car, so down the train we go to prepare for our arrival. After waiting for the southbound Downeaster to clear the points in front of us, we creep into the station and can step off into Haverhill. Just as we step out into the sunlight, the southbound Downeaster departs on the second track towards Boston, having made the last of its station stops. Not long after, our train closes its doors and rolls out of the station to continue on to Brunswick. As our train leaves Haverhill behind, we can walk to the grade crossing over to the southbound platform and end today's video. Next week, we will be back at the other end of the Northeast Corridor in Washington, D.C. to take a ride on the Virginia Railway Express, a local commuter service connecting Virginia to the heart of the nation. If you're new around here, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. It's totally free and it really helps support the channel. If you liked the video, drop it a like too. There's a lot more incredible content on the way, so stick around if you want to see more. But anyways, that's all I have for today. Thanks for riding with me, and I'll see you in the next one.